Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP? Or, like, we got the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I sure got 17, and, like, stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher, like, been a part of, like, 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance.
It's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Sure, I'm a little late, boys. At the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's fit. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if Chica is offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from our Click Here digital campus on this Wednesday morning, and built every day by RMB Builders. Shout out to Rhett and the crew over at RMB, rmb-builders.com, and on Instagram at RMB Builders. You can find those guys online if you're looking for a new home, a custom design home. If you need an add-on, get in touch with RMB today for best in quality, best in show, rmb-builders.com. Lloyd is here on this Wednesday morning. Stewie is here on this Wednesday morning. We are going to talk to the new sports director over at 9 Sports and WAFB. Jacques Doucet is going to be through here in the 8 o'clock hour. Looking forward to extending our congratulations to JD face-to-face, and we'll also get a update on the Cecil Collins documentary, man. How good was that? I hope by now you've had a chance to watch that. If you have not, I urge you and suggest that you go do that as soon as you can, because it is fantastic programming that you can check out. Compliments of our friends over at WAFB. LSU is going to face off against Army this weekend. Obviously, we have got some stuff to get to here with LSU, including 3 of the Tigers right now leading the nation in a couple of stat categories. Jaden Daniels leading the way, averaging 401 yards of offense per game every Saturday. And I was reminded in watching Daniels play this weekend about the Auburn LSU game last season. He threw for 82 yards against Auburn last year on the Plains. I mean, it was a good game count down to the end. Harold Perkins interception. LSU's able to get out of there with a win. Greg Brooks with the big play that night. Face full of turf after he makes the game-sealing interception. But remember, if you can, go back to 2022 and recall leaving the Plains and talking about the inability of the offense to make any plays in the air. You've got wide receivers on the field like Malik Neighbors, Kayshon Boutte, Brian Thomas, Mason Taylor. A lot of the same weapons that are setting records today are on the field then. The issue last year in this game is that the quarterback was not fully developed, not fully confident. As we talked about yesterday, Lil Jay and I were talking this morning, Jayden Daniels is the best quarterback in the country, stacked up against all of them. Shedeur Sanders, Caleb Williams, Drake May. And I'm going by the numbers. I'm usually not a numbers guy. I'm an eyeballs guy. Turtle on the film, what pops? Well, he's not the statistical leader. I don't care. When I watch Texas A&M play, Le'Veon Moss is their best back. Is he their statistical leader? No. Okay, give him the ball more. When you look at the stats that Jayden Daniels is putting down, he's the best quarterback in the country by the numbers. And then you turn on the game and your eyeballs tell you,
the same thing.
He really is the best quarterback in the country. And Daniels right now leading the nation with 401 yards per game in offense. He leads the conference and sits number 2 in the country in passing touchdowns and touchdowns that he's responsible for. Malik Neighbors leads the country in receiving yards with 860. Brian Thomas is tied for the nation lead in touchdown receptions with 9. The two receivers rank as the top SEC duo in the country. For his performance last weekend, Charles Turner III, starting center for LSU, named the Outland Trophy National Player of the Week. Offensive line for LSU was a part of the fuel that powered 563 yards of total offense. Turner has now been on the Outland Trophy watch list going forward for being named the Outland Trophy Player of the Week from a national standpoint. 5 straight weeks LSU has averaged over 500 yards of total offense. Never in the history of the school, in the history of the program, has that happened. Additionally, LSU's offensive line was named a midseason honor roll member for the Joe Moore Award, which goes to the most outstanding offensive line unit in college football. Right now, the O-line for LSU ranks 5th nationally and 1st in the SEC with yards before contact. LSU won this award back in 2019. Right now, this LSU football team is producing and the confidence is growing. If you watched SEC Inside on the SEC Network, or you were able to check out just some of the clips of what's coming out of the football program, I think Gold drops today, the last week version.
Usually drops Tuesday nights.
So you can go back and check out last week, but you can feel, we were watching SEC Inside this morning before the show got on the network, and man, the confidence of this LSU football team over the last couple of weeks has really been put on steroids. I mean, you can see it just...
It's palpable.
Very Lightning-esque happening and starting to feel that they are finding their way and gaining their identity. So really looking forward to talking to Jacques coming up here from 9 Sports, get some of his observations of LSU right now, kind of get the feel of it. You know, you're starting to see at the midway mark and a little past the midway mark of the season where people are starting and thinking, projecting the post game picture and scenario and what's it going to look like, right? And when the SEC comes up, LSU is not far away from a team that people are looking at, but they're also this dark horse in the sense of you may not want to play them. You may not want to run into them at this point is the sentiment of LSU. Every Saturday you got to pack it up. Every Saturday you got to bring it. You can't, take any days off. But right now LSU looks like one of those teams that scary from a scenario that if you run into them, they are a huge issue right now, especially offensively. Right? I don't think that anybody fears LSU defensively when you look at them just from afar. But if you're watching closely, the last 2 weeks has been something to grow on for them. Are they putting together a defense that is going to scare anybody? Probably not. Probably not. Even the offenses that they're facing down the stretch. I mean, it's not Florida State. It's not some of these high-power offenses that they run into
Oregon,
in
Washington.
the first 5 games of the season. Ole Miss.
Right.
Even Mississippi State to a degree with a senior quarterback, a guy that, has played a lot of snaps. You look down the line of guys that are still left on the schedule to play, and while there's solid competition, there's nobody that strikes fear in you, right? I mean, I watched Jalen Milroe in that offense play. That is not the offense that can keep up with what LSU is rolling out there every Saturday.
Slender man.
I mean, I'm watching Max Johnson lead this Petrino-Fisher attack where they're obviously arguing over who's
You take it. No, you take it. No, I want it.
going to be the play calling dynamic. And I see 13 points in Knoxville. Good luck.
Who does it look like calling plays?
Jimbo. It looks like they found some things early on with Max Johnson that was working for him that they've just gotten away from, and to me that is Jimbo. I think that I think that they're both bright offensive minds. What are we talking about? I mean, Jimbo's been in it for 35 years. I mean, he's not going to forget football.
He has his principles, that's for sure.
But he's definitely stuck in his ways, and Petrino to me has always been more of a innovator, more of a guy that would adapt, more of a guy that just brilliant, really, offensively. When you think of Bobby Petrino, I think offensive mind.
Jimbo's still running the toss dive, too.
Oh, Jimbo is he loves some pro style football. And it's just, and what's so funny is because whenever he was at LSU, it felt like he was innovative.
That's right.
He was the one that was thrown at 35 times a game, and you're like, okay. And then whenever it left,
very ahead of his time.
Yeah, then he got squeezed about less, and now he's the less doing the squeezing, which is bizarre.
It is weird.
It's just, I guess it gets harder the older you get to
for
keep
as
up.
Much as Les Miles and Jimbo Fisher butted heads.
He's turning into the man he
and
hated.
Really could not stand one another at the end. I mean,
I hate this man. I hate you too.
I'm in the mirror.
I mean, I've talked to players, I've talked to coaches, I've talked to people that were on the sideline of that Auburn 2006 game, and it was like, F you,
I quit.
over the headset. I mean, when you've got Jamarcus Russell, Dwayne Bowe, Craig Davis, all these guys, and you score 3 points. And then finally at the end of the game, Miles is like, Jimbo, you take it. And Craig Davis gets knocked out of bounds at the 2-yard line on a 7-play drive.
They threw it 7 times.
After that, it was, the relationship was irreparable. It was over. And now, when you watch Jimbo's team play, it resembles Les Miles' LSU so much that it is painful. I mean, it's easy, I think, to point and laugh at Texas A&M. I mean, the yell leaders, the videos, all that stuff that they put out. I mean, it's
Pass it back.
The jokes write themselves.
Do you see him swimming in the fountain?
The Jimbo stuff is
they get thrown in there.
That's the most painful part for them. Like when I talk to Lucci and I'm like, man, I'm so sorry about what you. I mean, I know
Texas
what it's like.
It could have been LSU.
It could have been.
Jeez.
Should have been.
Twice.
Was. Yes.
Twice.
I mean, twice it almost was LSU.
They hired the man during the game, and then didn't.
Joe Oliva.
Jeez. Coach O probably wanted to fight Joe Oliva.
Yeah, or hug him. But you're seeing, somebody just said in the chat, looking ahead to LSU's opponents, Jalen Milroe is kind of playing how a little bit of has some Jaden Daniels in him from last year, 10 of 21 against Arkansas, where it's just,
get me out of here.
Right. I mean, obviously.
It's very one-dimensional.
Right. Obviously,
You know what I mean?
he had 11 carries for negative 19 yards, but that's with the sacks involved. But, 10 of 21. He had his best game against A&M when they needed him the most, 21 of 33. But when you look ahead to LSU, who they have to play, it's not hyperbole to say LSU is the best offense in the country and Jayden Daniels might be the best quarterback in the country. That plays anywhere you go. And when you look at the defense, you finally got a little bit of complementary football where, okay, you could say it's against Auburn, but still, you don't think Auburn was looking at LSU and go, that's a get-right game for our offense. Because we talked about it, it was 121 versus 121. And LSU's defense finally looked like it showed a little bit of signs of life to hold them under 20 points. You get them off the field on third down. You kind of feel like the pieces are falling in place on the defensive side that everybody knows their role. So things are coming together at the right time. Like you said, you were watching the LSU insider for the Auburn game, and you're starting to see a little bit of everybody fist bumping everybody. It felt like it was, like Stewie said, a little bit offense versus defense in the locker room. Or it's like somebody pick each other up. Sure. And now it's turned into, okay, we're all kind of playing our best football at the same time.
BetMGM has put out their odds for Heisman Trophy winners. Right now, Michael Penix Jr. is the leader in the clubhouse at minus 145. J.J. McCarthy and Dylan Gabriel are in second at plus 1,000. Jordan Travis and Jayden Daniels are at plus 1,300, while Drake Mays at plus 1,400. Look,
the J.J. McCarthy thing kills me.
Unreal.
Have you seen it? First of all, have you seen his stats? He throws the ball maybe 20 times a game. They lean on the run game. They run the ball 40 times a game, and he's throwing it 20 times a game. And his completion percentage is obviously going to be high, and the competition that they're playing isn't very good.
I just think that it's a very lazy field right now when you look at it. It's very easy to look at the name brands and look at the best players on the best teams and just put them in the discussion because, I don't know.
I've never fought this fight before.
Jayden Daniels could do to really get his name to be relevant. And I think all it's going to take is that Alabama game.
Oh, yeah, this is coming. Don't you worry.
It's not as if it's not going to work itself out. Right? It's going to have a moment. There's going to be the moment. There's going to be the opportunity. There's going to be the stage that he has a chance to really elevate himself into the top of this discussion. Alabama's the best defense left on the schedule that he's going to play.
Biggest moment?
It's going to be at night on national television. It's going to be one of this LSU-Alabama matchups that, the last 15 years has delivered.
You don't think they're going to get the CBS 2:30 kickoff treatment?
I think they're going to get CBS 7th. There's a doubleheader that day, right?
They get to do that. Yeah,
that's the Saturday that CBS has reserved the doubleheader. When we were leaving Tiger Stadium last year, I told the crew that I was with, this game's going back to prime time next year on CBS.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can't have that data from last year. That was arguably the game of the year last season.
I think it was.
Or the Tennessee-Bama game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but guess who's involved in both?
Right.
And you have the storyline of, and I don't want to overlook Army, but I feel like everybody understands what Army is, and we'll have 2 weeks to build we'll have 2 weeks to build this Alabama game up. But I don't know if the time has been announced yet, but it will be in the future. I would imagine that this will be your doubleheader. This will be a 6:15, 6 o'clock kick where...
Yeah, you'll learn the time of this game on Monday.
Yeah, and LSU, I forgot who, there's another good game that the SEC has, so it lines up for a good CBS 2:30
Is it Georgia?
Back-to-back to Florida? I'm not sure.
I think that might be actually next weekend on LSU's bye weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think because Georgia's on bye this weekend, and they come off and play that game.
Yeah, that's Georgia, Florida. Florida is next weekend, and then they play Missouri November 4th.
You have LSU, Alabama, TBD, Texas A&M, Ole Miss,
Texas A&M,
Auburn, Vandy. There's another good one out there that I looked it up yesterday.
They might do Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
That's gonna be a good game.
Jimbo and Lane hate each other.
Oh God.
Like, I mean, they're out loud in the media hating one another. I mean,
Arkansas, Florida,
meh,
Kentucky, Mississippi State.
meh.
Nah. No.
No, I think it's Texas A&M and I think it's Texas A&M Ole Miss.
Yeah, put that at 2:30. That's fine. At Ole Miss, and then you have. I mean, LSU, Alabama is that makes even a better case for that to be the night game.
Yeah. No, look, man, I will be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I really would be.
Don't overthink it, huh?
I would be floored if this game is not the 7 o'clock CBS kickoff. It's the last one. This is CBS's last season with the SEC contract. I mean, they are trying to capitalize on this thing at every single turn. There's no chance in hell they leave this game on the floor. I mean,
This is CBS.
No shot. I mean, this is what CBS was branded on for the last 15 years.
It's been the game of the century,
When's
game
the
of
last
the
time
year.
they went to the game of the 7 o'clock? Was it the 2011 game? Because I remember the 2010 game that they won at home with D'Angelo Peterson and Patrick Peterson. That was a 2:30 kickoff.
Right.
Right? And then, I'm going back, 2009 is when Julio busted it up the sideline when Patrick Peterson was dealing with cramps. The only time they could do anything is when Pat was out the game.
Mm-hmm.
He comes back in after the cramps is when he gets the controversial pick. That game was at night, but I don't remember that game being a CBS night
Yeah,
game.
Felt like
ESPN.
ESPN.
2007, or excuse me, 2008 was in. 2009 is when Julio ripped the one up the sideline when Pat went down with cramps.
Obviously.
2008 is when the number one team comes in here and Jarrett Lee is the quarterback. LSU's loaded defensively, goes into overtime with them. I think Jay Lee threw 2 pick sixes that day.
He did.
And they had him on the ropes. 2007 was a 2:30 game.
Yeah, at Alabama.
I mean, so I think the first game of
was it 2011?
I think it was the first.
And that's when they had. I mean, the build up to that was insane.
2011.
Mm-hmm. Like they had a full page spread, like a full ESPN the magazine out about it.
Yeah, they did a full issue.
Yes.
On the game. That was actually 2012.
It was after 2011
Yeah,
though. It was
yeah.
like, look, this is the game of the century. Look at how much they do to prepare for each other, and that was less special.
The next 5 or 6 years, this game became
the game.
It became all of what college football was built up. I mean, I remember there were sideline reporters in other games asking coaches who they thought were going to win the LSU-Alabama game. I mean, the coaches were like, say what?
Right.
Like, I could give a damn about that game.
I'm playing here right now.
But that's what this game was. Like, that's how popular the game was.
Well, it decided so many teams' fate going forward after whoever won LSU Alabama. It felt like that's who won the West.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very rarely it felt like LSU could have the upper hand in that game. And this year, despite what everybody has said about Alabama, they're still here. They're still kicking, even though
still alive.
Still alive, even though it's going into the year this is their worst team. It was Alabama down.
I thought I killed you.
Yeah, they play their best football every time this happens because guess who?
The old man.
Old Nick loves that. He loves nothing more than being talked down to. They're counting us out.
I thought
Crazy.
I killed you, old man.
Yeah, he's still here.
I mean, that's perfect for him.
Oh, he played. Nobody plays the underdog better than Nick Saban.
I really think he plants those questions.
No, I mean,
I'm telling. I've seen it way too many times where he's got that planted. You know what I mean? Like
he's still a reporter before.
Absolutely. I mean, Rabelais was his guy.
Oh, God.
Back in the day, where look, you'll get the access. Just let me light into you twice a month. You know, I mean, for
Make
that,
it look
like,
good.
yeah, right, okay. You
Get the
know, I mean,
clicks,
you
Rabelais.
might end up on SportsCenter, like, all right. But I mean, there's no doubt about it that he's got planted questions
got
at
a
press
guy.
conferences. When I give you the wink, you ask the question.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Any more? Last one over here. Oh, there he is.
One more before I go. Who's the new guy? I mean, that stuff is that's epic, Saban. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Hughes Mechanical. Travis Hughes and Hughes Mechanical online at hughesmechanical.net. Get in touch with our friends over at Hughes Mechanical for commercial or residential AC repair or services. They're online at hughesmechanical.net. You can call the crew at 225-658-2147. They're a trusted Daikin dealer over at Hughes Mechanical, and they're working all of South Louisiana this morning ready for you. Whether you're in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, the North Shore, anywhere you can find them online at hughesmechanical.net. hughesmechanical.net. 225-658-2147. 225-658-2147 is the phone number if you want to get involved and check out Hughes Mechanical online. hughesmechanical.net is where you can find them there. Real quick, little bust away from the football here for a second. How about LSU women's basketball? Is the latest rankings, or the freshest AP rankings came out yesterday, and for the first time in the history of the program, Coach Kim Mulkey and the LSU women are preseason number 1 in the country. I have watched this team practice now 3 times officially over the summer, had a chance to watch them play some pickup. If they're not the number 1 team in the country, I'd love to see who is, because they are as complete and as deep of a basketball team that I can remember being on campus. I mean, I don't. Has everybody here seen Michaela Williams play?
Yeah.
I mean, has everybody seen how physically imposing this freshman is? When I tell you she is built like a tailback, I mean, it's crazy that she's a freshman in college just from her physique. Like, she is going to be such a matchup problem around the league. And the beautiful part about Michaela Williams is that nobody's talking about her. Nobody, I mean, I'm sure people know about her, but really I don't think that there's an expectation of her, just because you got to rattle off these superstars before you get to her, right? Like Angel Reese, who just inked a deal with Reebok, right? I mean, like, Angel Reese could be the most recognizable college athlete in the country right now. And she's playing on the preseason number 1 team in LSU. So you got Angel, Haley Van Lith, who I have just like fallen in love with her leadership, man. If you go and watch LSU practice, she is as close to the Mamba mentality that I can see, that really like is in it all the time. I think the Mamba mentality for a lot of athletes is tough to capture all the time. It's easy when you're in the game. It's easy when you're in the zone. It's easy when you're filling it up. It's easy when you're making plays, right? But to stay in that mentality of just a absolute killer, like killer. You can even see the way that Mulkey coaches her. And Mulkey is hard on her. It's been fun to watch Mulkey coach these superstars. I mean, she was able to get Angel Reese's attention at a practice I was at last week, where Angel Reese literally stopped in her tracks. And it was no yelling. In fact, Coach Mulkey's voice it's really kind of shot. I mean, it's kind of hoarse. It really, I mean, if she wanted to yell, I don't even think she could at this point. But Angel is coming down. They're running a passing drill, full court drill. Angel gets down there, makes the play, but Mulkey, in her sense, gets after her a little bit to get her attention. Angel Reese turns around. Mulkey proves her point, gets the coaching point across. Yes, ma'am. Eyeballs locked in on her. You're looking at the richest college basketball player in the country in Angel Reese, going back and forth with her coach with nothing but respect. I was taking, we're over here at Click Here Digital. One of the great things about Click Here that's not really promoted much is that we've got 150 employees under the roof. We've got 120 under the roof. We've got 30 on remote. 80% of the management over here is females. So people in power, right? Managers of the social media team, managers of the connected television division, the COO of the company, who was just promoted, Holly Hingle, is a female. I took Holly out to practice because of the opportunity to see leadership at that level, right? Like I'm telling you, it is a great opportunity in watching LSU women practice to go see that type of stuff, right? Leadership is on display. In fact, if you want to check out, Holly posted, and I think Click Here Digital reposted it on our LinkedIn page. Holly posted her observations from the practice, and I thought it was really cool the way that she pointed it out. And I'll bring it up because I thought it was pretty cool what she was able to take away from it. And this is leadership training 101 at these practices that are open to the public. I mean, it's not because we're in the media. It's not because we cover the program. It's not because we have a relationship with the coach. Anybody can go to these practices, right? So Holly writes this, and I apologize, Holly. I don't mean to, but I mean, she posted this on her social media. She said, I had the privilege of attending LSU's Lady Tiger basketball practice this week and meeting the GOAT herself. As I reflected and observed what made them great, it came down to 7 things. Number 1, it took a support team equal or greater to the number of players on the court. When you step out there, it is a lot like Florida football. Remember the Florida football picture that came out when there was more staffers than players?
Right.
I mean, when you go out to LSU women's basketball practice, there's about a staffer and a half per player. You know what I mean? Like, there is somebody for everyone.
And they just got featured, got championship rings. The
right.
Dream Team or
That's right.
what have you.
You're talking about the practice squad.
Yeah, the practice squad. But I imagine that also was people that are on the court all the time. We're like, oh,
no doubt
it's a
about
bigger
it.
production
But even
than I
like the
thought.
support staff.
Right.
Right? I mean, trainers, medical people that are overseeing, mental health people. Number 2, constant and unwavering positive reinforcement from player to player. Like, there is no bickering back and forth. There is no breakdown. And if there is, you can always sense that it's for the best of the team, right? Like, I mean, the relationship between Angel Reese and Michaela Williams is pretty cool. The number 1 freshman in the country and the number 1 player in the country, and the way that they interact in practice is if you're kind of watching the game within the game, Angel Reese is constantly playing games with her, constantly pointing out when her effort's not there, when she misses a shot, when she doesn't close out on defense, when she's not in the right spot, always pointing it out to the freshman. But as soon as Michaela Williams makes a play, the first person that's right in her ear, letting her know she made the play, is number 10, is Angel Reese. It's a cool dynamic. I think it's something that you'll be obvious to see once you watch the Tigers play. Number 3, 100% focused on communication at all times. The players would let each other know where they were, if they were open, and what kind of pass they should be expecting on every shot. I was honestly surprised by the level of verbal communication that went into practice and play for these experts in their field, writes Hingle. Number 4, not overly focusing on mistakes or missed shots, preparing for the next shot immediately. It is a constant positive atmosphere. If there is coaching and negative that has to be done, it is about a 20 to 35 second window in which that coaching and lesson is brought, always reinforced by positive reinforcement. Number 5, players jointly rallying behind teammates who were struggling. It was the team's effort and mission to not let anyone fall behind. There's a drill that they run at the end of the game. They put 12 seconds at the end of practice. They put 12 seconds on the clock. You've got 12 seconds to sprint to the furthest baseline, 94 feet away, and you've got 12 seconds to make it back. You got complete. Alyssa Del Rosario, who's the number 1 big girl in the country, number 1 center in the country, is on campus. She is fighting to get into college basketball shape. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like it's early on in her freshman campaign. These are the struggles and the days that she's going to look back on when she is successful and say, I don't know if I was going to make it. Like, I don't know if I could make it. And the one thing about, they call her Lily, that is not going to happen is that her teammates aren't going to let her fail. As she's sprinting up, trying to make that 12 seconds, and knowing that the fate of the team rests on her crossing that baseline within that time period for Mulkey not to just say, back on the line. Haley Van Lith and Angel Reese are right there behind her, urging her, clapping her, getting her, pushing her, making sure that she knows that they're with her. It's cool, man. It's a cool environment to see these talented players push aside individual accomplishments for the betterment of the team very early on. Number 6, nobody's focused on past success. Not one time did I hear anything about a national championship. Not one time do I see anything about a national championship. Nowhere on the practice jersey, nowhere on the floor, nowhere on the towels, nowhere on the water bottles, nowhere in the coach's messaging do you hear anything about last year's success. And number 7, the final observation from our newly promoted COO over here at Click Here Digital that was at Kim Mulkey's basketball practice last week. She stated, constant reminders of the team mission and personal commitments by coach and equal reminders that no position was promised or given. They had to earn it. Do we all, under the assumption that LSU women's basketball team is the highest paid basketball team in the sport? Do we know that for sure? Do you know that?
It's probably a fact.
It's probably a fact.
Hold up.
You're saying it's probably a fact. So you perceive that, right? Lloyd?
Yeah, especially after Angel
Do you
Reese.
know that or you just perceive it?
I just perceive it
You
to
just
be
perceive
true.
it, right? Me too. I've got no data that tells me that they are or they're not. If I was guessing and this was a test and it was multiple choice and you asked me if LSU women's basketball team was the highest paid compensated women's team in the country, true or false, I would say true. If you go watch them practice, you would never know it. You could never tell that Angel Reese is probably making $1.5 million more than a walk-on, than a true freshman, than Alyssa Del Rosario.
Than a coach.
You never know that Haley Van Lith has an Adidas deal. She's signed by Adidas. You would never, in 3 practices, I've seen Haley Van Lith practice 12 hours at LSU on the floor. I would have never known that she's an Adidas. The only reason why I knew it is because Gary Reedus was yelling it at her during practice, the assistant coach, and just really kind of messing with her. The number 1 team in the country is must-see basketball, and if you have the opportunity, I urge you to go check out a practice, especially if you're in a role of leadership. The way that Mulkey delegates, the way that those delegators preach a message, the way that those messages hit some of the top players in college basketball, and the way that they motivate them is something that it's something to see. I mean, I don't. This team it's a special group without question, right? I mean, and all of who they are, what they have, is going to be on display, right? But I think that the biggest takeaway for a lot of people is going to be, and I mean this wholeheartedly, is going to be how much of a team they are. I think that is the when you look at Mulkey and you look at her staff and you look at the challenge that they have this year. They're preseason number 1 in the league. They're preseason number 1 in the country, and they should be. On paper, they're the best team in the country. But if you go watch them play, if you go watch them practice, if you watch them growing in to who they're going to be, I mean, yes, they've got Van Lith. Yes, they've got Angel Reese. Yes, they've got the number 1 player in the country in Michaela Williams. Yes, Flaugier has developed in the offseason into much more of a complete player. Anissa Morrow, in my opinion, is the best jump shooter on the team. On campus. But then there's players like Angelica Velez, Janae Kent, Aaliyah Del Rosario, like we talked about. Obviously, Kateri Poole. But like Samaya Smith. You see her in a second season, and you're like, whoa, look at her development. She's going to be an issue, right? I mean, obviously, Tierra Poa and her coming back for another year and the expectation around her. And then you've got some new faces. But, I mean, I just think this team is going to be so fun to watch, man, in the sense of, yeah, they've got the star power, they've got the coach, they've got the likability, they've got the hateability. But they're a really solid, well-built, well-constructed, and accountable team to one another. It's crazy to see like Anissa Morrow and Haley Van Lith practice together and what they like pull out of one another. I didn't know that Haley Van Lith worked out with Kobe, like directly worked out with Kobe Bryant for the last 3 years that Kobe was alive.
She used to go to his Mamba Academy.
Like, yeah, but it was more than that. Like she went to the Mamba Academy and then she was handpicked by Kobe to do like individual workouts with him. I mean, Coach, I've never really seen the Mamba mentality up close. Like a true version of it.
Joe Burrow?
The closest I've seen. Burrow, by far. Haley Van Lith is that. She's that type of competitor. Nothing rattles her. Nothing gets to her. Mulkey is on her, man. Mulkey coaches her hard. I think it's because she sees herself in Haley Van Lith. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can kind of sense that. The way that she says things, you can tell she gets reactions from Van Lith because she hits a chord, right? Like she hits something that you can tell like Van Lith is like, whoa, she knows me.
Who did she get into it with during the NCAA tournament? Haley Van Lith?
Texas.
It was Caitlin Clark.
No. It was the Texas layup line. It was the Texas free. It was the Sweet 16.
Because like after the game, they were shaking hands.
And they're walking through the handshake line, and it looks as if she's like telling Van Lith like, I like who you are, I like your, and like Van Lith, she says
like,
something to her.
Yeah, she's like, don't tell me like good game now.
Yeah, and like she just like shoves her back. I mean,
and then you have the video of her at the 3-on-3 tournament where she is like talking to the crowd because they were, they're obviously playing overseas or what have you, and I don't think that they were the most well respected team there. And she was like, no, don't congratulate us now. Like after we won the thing, like y'all weren't riding with us when we were like when we got here, but now y'all want to. Like, no, we're good. I don't need the respect now. She's got an edge to her, and you're going to see a lot of this for when LSU women's basketball plays. It's going to get chippy.
Yeah,
they're going to try to get somebody either out the game or get somebody a technical where they're going to. It's LSU's probably their best asset, but it's something that can be used against you when you have this many personalities on a team. And that's where Kim Mulkey is your best answer because she keeps everybody in line.
Well, I mean, it's pretty incredible to see how
you got a lot of personalities on one team.
Keeps all that at the door.
Yeah,
like how she's able to leave that stuff. Even like the victory parade. Like you go in there and there is no sense of celebration from last year, and she urged all of that to go out. Like Flaugier, Angel Reese, she loves seeing them on podcasts and commercials and Amazon and Reebok here and stand up there and all that stuff. But she let it well be known. Like once you report back to school, it's over. I mean, like it is over until the season is completed. And there is no pushback on that. I mean, like there is no misunderstanding on that stuff.
Seems like at the end of the day, they like their money, but they love basketball.
That's right. That's well said. So LSU number 1 in the country, both in the AP and the Women's Basketball Coaches Association poll. Tigers are coming off their first ever national championship. They won the regular season titles. They have won 3 league titles. The most recent back in 2008, to give you an idea of just how long this team has been dealing with non-success in the history of the program, and now they're number 1 in the country waking up today. South Carolina 2, just real quick for the SEC preseason poll. LSU 1, South Carolina 2, Tennessee 3, and Ole Miss 4. Preseason player of the year, Angel Reese. Preseason All-SEC first team, check this out. Flaugier, Angel Reese, and Haley Van Lith, all on the first team squad. They got 3 of the 5 on the preseason All-SEC squad. Camila Cardozo from South Carolina and Rakia Jackson are the two that round it out. On the second team, Anissa Morrow is there. I think Anissa Morrow is a first teamer too. I just think that they were probably like, what are we going to do this? What are we going to do? Put them all 5 on this thing? Because Michaela Williams is probably the fifth best player in the league too. I cannot get over the physique of Michaela Williams. I mean, like
she's like,
yes,
big,
she is
built,
like jacked. I mean,
cut.
Literally, she is built like a tailback. I mean, she'd be an issue to tackle in the open field. I'm just telling, for all of us, for all of the LSU DBs. I mean, like,
put them in a pickle.
I mean, pick your head up, Andre Sam. For God's sake, she's about to run you over. I mean, they're so good. They're incredibly good. They're going to be fun to watch. Daily, we're brought to you by Go Roof Online, GEAUX. Roof.com. Get in touch with Go Roof online at GEAUXroof.com, 225-927-8300. Get a 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations. A beautiful roof every single time. You got residential roofing, commercial roofing, roofing repairs, all of that over at Go Roof, GEAUXroof.com. Over 150 4-star ratings over there at Go Roof. Check them out online, 225-927-8300. The guys will work with your insurance company today. They'll jump up on the roof, diagnose the problem, let you know what the issue is. Let them work with you today. Go Roof, GEAUXroof.com. Store this number in your contacts list, 225-927-8300. The best, man. I know they had a big tailgate over at the LSU game this past weekend for Auburn. They're always around. They're always wearing their logo. They're always rocking the gear. You can see them. You see their trucks on the road. If you need a roofer, get in touch with Go Roof, GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com. We'll take a short break, be back here, close out hour number 1. Jacques going to be here in hour number 2. We'll talk more football, LSU versus Army. We'll get Jacques' reaction, LSU versus Auburn. Might look ahead a little bit, LSU versus Bama. We'll talk to Jacques about this LSU women's team being number 1 in the country. And then, of course, the Cecil Collins documentary that debuted on Sunday night, Cecil versus the Diesel, produced by 2 good friends in Jacques and Darren DeQuano. I knew it was going to be. I knew it was going to be great. It was better than I expected. If you have not watched the Cecil Collins documentary, it takes you back to the mid-'90s to a time where LSU was loaded in the backfield, still national championship-less LSU football program that was just looking for any piece of good news on Saturdays, and Cecil Collins for 3 straight weeks was about as good as news as college football could provide. But then it ended. It ended with a thud, and all of that is documented incredibly by DeQuano and Jacques, and we'll talk about that project and that mission that they brought to life over weekend, including some shots. Like I said, if you have not seen the documentary, the best part about it is they've got action from Saturday night. Like, Cecil is in the building in Tiger Stadium versus Auburn. He meets Brian Kelly. He sees Frank Wilson. He walks his son out into Tiger Stadium's surface. He sees it for the first time. You can see the chills kind of bumping up on him as he's taking it all in. It's just, I cannot say more good stuff about Cecil versus the Diesel. I mean, obviously I'm biased because 2 of my good friends are behind it, but it don't matter. This thing is going to win awards. It's going to be nominated for awards, and it should. If you have not seen it, check it out. It's on WAFB's YouTube page, or you can just simply check out Cecil versus the Diesel on YouTube. All right, we'll be back. Close out hour 1 and look forward to our conversation with Jacques in hour 2. If you have not hit the like button, hit that thumbs up button. We're trying to get 100 per hour. We're sitting on 70 right now, so we need your help. If you're watching right now and you have not hit the like button, go ahead and click that like button. If you're watching right now and you're not subscribed to the show, please hit that subscription button. If you want to know when we go live, all you got to do is hit that bell and you'll be notified each time we go. All right, we'll be back. Close out hour 1 next. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
A real passion of mine is ACL injuries, but not just really in the treatment of ACL injuries, but how do we keep them from happening? So right here at Ochsner, we're doing some research studies on ACL injury prevention. We're working with some of our high schools, and we're testing different functional tests for athletes. And we're trying to identify people that are at risk for ACL tears. We're trying to catch them before those ACLs happen. And then we want to intervene with some injury prevention programs. And that's something that, being part of Ochsner Andrews Institute, we can continue on that research. We can expand the impact of that research. We can bring that to more athletes in our community.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we've seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gordon.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. If you yourself, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with the concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Back here, Jordy Culotta Show, live here on this Wednesday morning from our Click Here Digital campus on Interline Avenue in between Drusilla and Airline in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Check out Click Here online at clickheredigital.com. We can help you with full-service digital marketing plans, everything from setting your Google ads to social media, content creation, all of it. Get in touch with me if you need a direct contact. Jordy at clickheredigital.com, Jordy at clickheredigital.com. Been looking forward to getting our next guest in all week, man. I knew this was going to be a great week to have our friend Jacques in, not only to talk about what we just talked a little bit about, was the Cecil versus the Diesel documentary, which is must watch. Obviously was produced and put together by Jacques and Darren DeQuano over at WAFB. We had talked and promoted it for about a month in the lead up, and we knew it was going to be awesome. It was better than we expected it to be when we watched it on Sunday night. If you have not seen it, it's 37 minutes of just raw LSU football history on one of the great what-ifs in the Histories program. And Jacques is going to tell us about that on a huge week for Jacques, obviously, and for the WAFB team. We saw earlier this week, it was announced on social media. Actually, we saw a couple of weeks back that Steve Schneider announced that he was retiring after an incredible 40-year career of leading the sports department at WAFB. He's been inside of our living room, feels like forever. And he was stepping away, and many people assumed, many people thought that it was going to be Jacques' job to turn down because of the commitment that he had made to not only the market but to WAFB over the last 20 plus years, and that in fact happened earlier this week. So we celebrate that. In fact, Jacques and I were together on Friday at Football Friday when it was starting to really kind of hit, and it was a great start to the weekend of recognizing that. And now JD's sitting here with us inside the studio, just like he does every Wednesday morning. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank
Great
you, Jordy.
To see you, bro.
Jordy, thank you for your friendship and your show and having me and all those kind words. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Congratulations. So, what is this? What has this been like? I know that you were a little emotional a couple weeks back talking about Steve.
Yeah. It's been an emotional few days. I guess the older you get, the softer you get, but just kind of reflecting and just the people you hear from, that congratulate you, that's touching, people that could do things you could never do, right? The two of us, we admire athletes and people we covered because they were given ability that, we could only dream of. To hear like Daryl Mitchell yesterday, wishes me congratulations, man.
The silent assassin.
One of the biggest games or moments I ever covered.
Yeah. A&M.
Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah. Sitting there at courtside, and he makes a shot from about 25 feet. And, Pete Richardson from Southern reached out to me yesterday and congratulated me, the legend there, and just all the different people that I've been fortunate enough to cover over the years. And I had the greatest job in the world. There was no complaining, and Steve Schneider, as awesome as he is, had earned that as long as he wanted that. And I mean, what am I going to complain about? I covered back-to-back national champions in a four-month period between the Kim Mulkey women's basketball and baseball. So, and fans remind me, and they are exactly right. I'd be at Ellick Box. They look at me, do you know you've got the greatest job in the world?
Right.
And without a doubt, I would hate to have to be in the real world. I would hate to have to go do insurance or right. something like that.
Desk
job, yeah, just stuff like that. I mean, I wake up excited every day to do what I want to do, and I think that's going to be what I have to figure out moving forward. Is that I can't do the old job and the new job. Yeah. I want to be at everything. I love the adrenaline and the natural drug of being in a football stadium or a basketball stadium or a baseball park or whatever. And there's going to be times where, you know what, you can't cover that game today. You're going to have to delegate. And that's what I think I've got to learn. Now, look, Steve Schneider is a sports director, worked as a reporter the whole time I was there. I mean, he got out and he did stuff, and I'm not going to be a guy that's going to I've been here all this time. I can't figure out my mic.
Comes with the promotion.
See, in TV, we just pin it on.
Yeah. Fix my mic.
Can somebody do this for me?
But, Steve was not a guy that was like, come in with the coat and tie at 4 o'clock, sit down, and I'm just going to read some stuff and leave. Yeah. And so, he turned over LSU football to me in 2011. So it's been a lot all at once, between sending off an icon the right way, taking over the train in midstream in football season, and then the Cecil Collins documentary, which, I didn't expect to cry watching it, but I've watched it a few times and I've teared up more than once. And not only that, but seeing his daughters on Facebook. I love you, Daddy. I love where you are. I love our relationship. And it's not a pat on the back, but when you do a story and you impact people that way, that's special.
Did you? One of the great parts I think about our relationship, and I know it's something that the public appreciates, is our ability to kind of go back in time together and really kind of go at LSU memories and highlights. Did you learn? What did you learn in putting this together?
Well, one thing I learned that I already knew is that Kevin Falk is one of the most remarkable human beings. I mean, you would think, just me, my naive at the time, I would think, Kevin Falk, here's a guy trying to take my job. He's a troublemaker. He's off the team. See you later. But the fact that Kevin Falk wrote Cecil Collins letters while he was in prison and called him and stayed in touch with him, and that's our brother no matter what. That was something.
Financially supported his family.
Oh, he did that too?
Yeah,
well, look, I did the doc and I didn't know that. Yeah. And so, those are the kind of things that I learned. We interviewed Mike Haywood on a whim.
Yeah.
And I think it was Verge gave me his number, and I called him. A lot of these interviews were done in 2020, March of 2020, when COVID hit.
When he cried, I cried.
Haywood? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was another case where I was like, Darren, we need to. This guy, I just asked him about throwing when Cecil had to be dismissed at LSU, and I just expect this. When he started choking up, I'm like, holy cow. This happened 22 years ago. And this guy, like, it's like happening, like it's happening in real time.
Right.
And so, he was a real gem. I had never talked to Mike Haywood before, really.
Yeah.
And another thing, too, is that Ryan Clark, if I had any doubt about needing to do this, Ryan Clark told me all I needed to know. This is a guy who is broadcasting at the highest level, doing NFL games. And for him to sit down, you could see it in his eyes when he's talking, that this is a story that needs to be told. And the way that he answered each question, and I think told us, you need to do this. Somebody needs to do this story on Cecil, and I'm glad you're doing it. Where it could have been, why do you want to talk to me about a guy I played with 3.5 games 23 years ago? Who cares, right? No. He was like, this is something you need to do. And everybody, Darren, who made every edit. I didn't make a single edit on this thing. He said, man, everybody we interviewed was awesome. Jerry DiNardo gave great sound bites.
Rohan was great.
Steve Schneider, Scott Rabelais. Falk. There were people that we approached that there were a couple that didn't do it. But there was no problem. They politely declined. We did make an attempt to get Jimmy Johnson. I made a mutual, and he declined.
Danny Ford was great.
Yeah, Danny. It's Smith.
I'm sorry.
Danny Ford coached at Clemson.
Yeah, I kept calling. It's Danny Smith.
No problem. Danny Smith is his number one fan, and obviously, as we're rounding third and going home on this thing, when he, bears his soul and breaks down to tears, that was captivating. Cecil's wife, fantastic.
Yeah, what a human being! What an incredible human being she is. I mean, if there's anybody that's like still like with their arms folded, like doubting, this woman has married him in prison in 2006. They've been together 23 years, basically. And the best part of the doc is how much he smiles, how much he laughs. I mean, I think that's a lot of accredited to her. Yeah. I mean, like she's brought that out of him. I mean, I thought, was very, very telling was you asking him directly, like the first 6-7 years he was in the penitentiary was dark. Like when Falk is winning Super Bowls and making play, you know what I mean? Like Tom Brady and Kevin Falk. I mean, there was 33 jerseys all over Foxborough. And for a guy like Cecil Collins to watch that from jail, how difficult that must have been, and you to go back to that time and him talking about like getting out of that was powerful. I mean, that was powerful.
It was striking to me that he was not, because people have told me he went to prison 13.5 years for that. Because there's other, I don't know the judicial system, and I'm not going to try, but it seems like there are other people who do things that are much worse, who spend a year or two in prison and they're out. Now, he had violated probation and done some things, but he's not bitter about that whatsoever. Yeah. He says, I needed prison. I'd be dead if I hadn't gone to prison. And as crazy as that sounds, some people are safer in there than out.
Agreed.
It gives them structure. It gives them
purpose.
But, and the whole, I think Darren and I came across it one day. I'm like, wait a second. I said, Kevin Falk's NFL career was 13 years. Cecil spent 13 years in prison. It was like Scott Rabelais said, it was two sides of a photograph. When people said this guy was better than this guy, and he spent 13 years in prison, and Falk spent 13 years in the NFL. So it became a story about faith too, and God, and just so many people that responded. And look, Facebook and Twitter is not a good place to get positive reaction. And I've found that it's just been like 95% positive. Because Darren and I were like, we're going to get some crap for this. When people hear we're doing something on Cecil Collins, we're going to get some crap for this. But really, we haven't. And so, look, I want to say this. We didn't go out to glorify.
Yeah, right.
We're just telling a story.
Yeah.
Right. We're telling a story. We're laying it out. We're being objective. We touched upon all the bad stuff, and that was the debate. How much detail do we go into here about what happened at LSU, what happened in Miami? I said some people are going to say we went too easy on them. Some people are going to say we went too hard. We laid it all out. We told the whole story, and this is where he is today. I can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow and down the line. I think he's on the straight and narrow. If something happens and people want to nail me to the cross and crucify us for doing this, so be it. I don't care. I think this was important. We did it, and I'm glad we did it, and it's probably one of the best things I've ever been a part of.
It is. It's must watch if you're in this market, if you're in and have any type of passion for LSU football, or if you were around during that time of LSU football, even if not, I mean, I think that's what would draw you. It's a great story. I mean, it's a great human story that is filled with mistakes and redemption. You know, I mean, I think at the end of it, we may not all be able to relate to the mistake, but we can all relate to the life of people that have been down and out, gotten another chance, and have redeemed themselves. And Cecil Collins, like I said, one of the best parts about it is how much he smiles, how much he laughs. I mean, it's good to see that.
It's right off the bat. It's like, when did we know that Cecil Collins had a little more juice than the average kid? When I was born. You know?
Yeah.
It's like right on the sheet.
Right. I mean, like, he gets it honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you could see when he showed up to campus, he was probably like, that's my ball. You know, like, I don't care if it's Kevin Falk. I mean, I'm running the ball.
Yeah. Well, we, it took 3 years to buy the groceries, so to speak, to get everything shot that we needed to get shot. We tried like heck to get Rondell Mealy. Rondell is kind of a different cat. No, nothing negative. The fact that you had him up there Friday talking is an accomplishment, because he doesn't do a whole lot of stuff. And afterwards, I did do an interview with him afterwards, but it was too late and wasn't shot properly and all that to put him in there. We did have him in there from when he was at LSU in '96 talking. Yeah. And I wish we could have recreated the magazine cover of the three of them standing there.
That was awesome.
That would have been fantastic.
Awesome. Well, you did get your full circle moment a little bit, though, whenever you got Cecil to Auburn for the LSU Auburn game, because I saw the call to action on social, and LSU stepped up, and to see him on the field was awesome.
Cool. That's why I chose that weekend to air it. I said LSU plays Auburn that weekend. Let's air it that weekend. And so when I found out he was coming to the game, I'm like, damn, we got to get him, walking into the stadium.
That's a great part.
The whole thing coming, full circle down the field, and Frank Wilson saying he wants him to talk to the team, and Jack Marucci hugging him. Stephen Ridley was down there hugging him too. Frank Gore knew who he was. Was on the sideline. They were talking, and so yeah, it was that was the whole thing coming full circle and him returning. Look, I was in section 210. In Tiger Stadium tonight, he ran for 232 against Auburn, and I was jumping up and down, screaming and yelling. And it is total conditional love when you're a fan, because I will be honest. 2 weeks later, when LSU beat Florida and tore down the goalpost, the last thing on my mind was Cecil Collins, right? That's how quick we forget, right? And so I think what I've learned over the years is that, growing up as a kid, they were guys running the ball and people that made me happy. Mm-hmm. And then you learn that they're human beings too. Yeah. They have lives, and that LSU time is a short period of time.
Yeah, it is.
But he wants to come back. He talked about in the past about moving back to Baton Rouge, and I think Jack Marucci and Tommy Karam and some other people that have stayed in contact with him were like, I don't know if that's the right thing right now, but maybe now it might be the right time for him to come back. He wants to talk to FCA groups and stuff like that. I think he can be a very powerful tool in terms of choices and all those different things. And so I hope that he is used in that way.
Great story. Great work. And for, like I said, I knew Darren and Jacques were going to do great work. It's better than I expected. If you've not seen it, you got to check it out.
He didn't start editing till like a week before the LSU Florida State game. Started editing. And he wouldn't. Our relationship's funny. I'm like, Darren, let me see what you got. No, Darren, let me see it. No. And so like one day, he gave me like a nod, and he gave me the headphones, and I sat down, and he edited the first 25 minutes, and I sat down and watched it, and I'm like, you shouldn't have showed me this. I'm not going to be able to focus on anything else today. I can't wait for people to see this. It was just like, I just want people to see this is so well done. And his creativity, starting from the first shot and the VHS tape going into the machine, and the way he positioned shots and monitors and all that. And thank God we had all those great Jerry DiNardo sound bites. Jerry DiNardo talked about how Herb wanted to nominate Cecil for Player of the Week, and I'm not going to do it because that's not making him better. It's just gold mine.
It is. It's great stuff. Check it out. WFB YouTube, newly promoted WFB sports director Jacques Doucet and his ace cameraman and editor, and Darren DeQuano behind the project. All right, take me to Tiger Stadium on Saturday night. It felt Tiger Stadium retro in there this past weekend. I mean, it was beautiful weather, 100,000 recruits from all over the country, some stars back like Cecil Collins, Frank Gore, Rajah Bell, former NBAer who was a Kobe Bryant defender of back in the day for the Phoenix Suns. His son was in town. I mean, it was kind of a who's who was down there. What was your experience like Saturday night?
You know, we wait for college football all summer, and we love it. And the college football season is all great. But when you get into October and the weather starts changing and it gets cool and you can break out a windbreaker Auburn's in town and great history.
Right.
I mean, this is this is almost what makes the national championship anticlimactic in a way to me. I mean, I know it's the most important game and I watch it, I'm into it, but it's almost like this is the best part of the season when these SEC rivals meet in October and everything. It's just what I love the most. So I'm not good at predictions. I will say, I think I came on this show and said I felt like they were going to.
You did.
You ever going to roll?
Yeah, you said
that
it.
was just one. I just kind of felt that. I just kind of felt that halfway through the season that they were. And they had done it at Mississippi State, but I just kind of felt like they were ready for everything to click. And, I think the defense is missing less tackles. And then I think even the interception Jayden threw wasn't his fault. Guy ran a different route or something he expected. Popped up in the air. So, and that just shows how quickly, like, we get used to something. Like, now no one's talking about, Jayden anymore. Because it's just like, it's almost like when we watch the Saints with Drew Brees. Oh, yeah, he threw for 350 and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's what he does, and so that's kind of what it is now with Jayden. He put 400-something yards in this game and 3 touchdowns. And so, yeah, I think now you're basically on a 3-week preparation for Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Because you're a 30-point favorite against our nation's finest, the Army, and God bless those guys and what they do for our country. And I think this will be the one time LSU fans don't boo the opposing team when they run out of the tunnel. I was at a baseball regional when Army was there at Southern Miss, Jay Johnson's first year, and I asked the coach, "What's an average day like for you baseball players?" And he goes through it, and it's just like Coach Kelly said, Saturday is the easy part.
That's right.
For these guys, they're getting up at 4:30 in the morning, and every minute of their time is allocated. The idle mind devil's workshop. There's no time.
Amen.
There's no idle mind. So. I think it's going to be a very interesting game when LSU goes to Alabama in early November. It'll be a much different LSU kind of Alabama game where many times in the past Bama was invincible and they were so much better than LSU, or the talent was the same but LSU was running an archaic offense. This thing is just going to be like maybe a wide open affair.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. But
Have you put a point spread on it yet?
Somebody told me that Bama was favored by 13.5.
Say
what? And they showed it it was Darren and I were talking. I was like,
I saw it at 11.
11?
Over Tennessee, right?
No, I'm talking about LSU Bama.
LSU Bama. Is there an early line on that? Somebody showed it to me, and I didn't believe it. I was like, that can't be right. But
Coach, how can you favor anybody 13 over LSU's offense alone? I mean, to beat LSU by 13, you'd have to score 70, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like I'm saying that LSU, they get off the bus and score 35.
Is it going to be, 2019 with 46-41? Is it going to be something like that? Or
it is currently 13.5.
13.5.
13.5.
I told you. I thought I didn't believe it myself. And I was like,
over under 56.5.
So they got Alabama's defense winning it. They got Alabama's defense winning the fight.
And they're a good defense.
No doubt they are. They're top 10 defense.
But
it goes to show that maybe the national media hasn't caught on to what LSU's doing offensively yet, because when you get into the Heisman conversation, he's still 5th or 6th on the list. And like you said, it's down here in Baton Rouge, it's been pretty impressive what you've seen, but it's also, there's 350 and 3 touchdowns. It's like, okay, I guess he does this every week now, and everybody in Louisiana knows it except for that this hasn't gone national yet.
I think when LSU went there in 19, Bama was favored by 6, 4, 5, 6.
4.5. I thought it was 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they went there in 21, they were favored by 28 or something. That was when
That's right.
That was LSU almost,
They nearly beat them.
Yeah, 20-14.
Jack Bash caught a touchdown. I mean, they were.
Was that the Coach O game?
Yeah, that was the fake punt.
Yep, that was
I saw Coach O Sunday.
Yeah. So he was pointed Saban across on the fake punt.
Yes.
Well, that
Get
was
the
when
first down.
After the game when they lost, he went to the crowd, remember? And was still doing the L's.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like running in, he was doing the. I was like,
that was an interesting
whoo.
Yeah, after the game, his shirt was untucked.
He was at Tiger Stadium?
I saw him Sunday. He was up on the levee with his beautiful wife. They were walking. He was walking and jogging. And I hope you don't mind me sharing this story. Love Coach O. Love covering him. You know, no negative things to say. I saw him and I got out of the car and I yelled up at him. I said, hey, you need to go coach that defensive line. Like goofing, you know. Yeah. And he didn't recognize me. He looked at me, what? Like I was some Yahoo just yelling at him. And I was like, so then I left my car running. I jogged up the levee and his wife recognized me. Oh, it's I said, hey, Jock, how you doing, man? I didn't know that was you, you know. And so I shook his hand and I just said hello, and that was it, you know. But it was good to see him.
Talk good.
Speaking of 2019 offense, LSU's offense, and you know, Jacques, I never thought that we'd really get into a reasonable discussion where we were talking about a comparison of 19 in the offense. Here we are, 5 years later, like talking about one that might be as good or maybe even, like it's different, right? I mean, it's different in the sense of they're both extremely effective. They both light up scoreboards. They both got pros all over the place. When you look at these two offenses, what do you see?
Look, 2019, I love those guys on the offensive line and covering them. You had Lloyd Cushenberry, Sadiq Charles, who's my guy that went undrafted?
Damian Lewis was on that.
Not undrafted, but had 0 stars coming out of high school. I think it was
Damian Lewis.
Yeah,
was a JUCO guy. Now's a starter for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Will Campbell and some of those guys are going to be higher draft picks and better
for sure
than those guys. Clyde was basically the entire show at running back. They had one rushing play, right? Zone read. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they. Logan, nothing negative about Logan, but he hasn't broken the 50-yard run.
Yeah, I don't think he
like Clyde
bust that thing. Yeah, he got great vision.
Hard-nosed guy, very smart. I interviewed his mom last week. Takes his academics very seriously. Great guy to have. Maybe, you know, and you got more of a you got Emory that they're kind of working in. You got Josh Williams. You got more guys you're working in at running back. So I don't know. I guess you take Clyde over. I don't know what you got there. Wide receiver, Malik and Brian Thomas are really elevating. And Justin Jefferson and Jamar were Jamar won the Biletnikoff, right? He was the best wide receiver that year. But you could have maybe flipped a coin with him and Jefferson, and then Terrence Marshall
was the best third wide receiver in the history of college football.
Yeah, he was outstanding. And then you worked in a little Racy McMath too. He was every now and then they got him in there.
Derek Dillon caught a
touchdown. Derek Dillon. I saw Derek Dillon at that
Football Friday
that you hosted. Derek Dillon caught the first, in my opinion, big Joe Burrow moment.
Auburn.
At Auburn in 2018. When Burrow made that, they were down 21-10. When he made that pass across the middle, I was like, that's a pass we haven't seen.
Or a play.
A play we haven't seen.
The last time we saw that was Ruben Randall.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a big play in the passing game in a moment where you had to have it. It was the last time LSU had done that. And remember when Randall made it, it was like they popped the balloon. Nobody had seen it. Like people were like hugging and kissing in the aisles. I mean, people were like, is this happening? I mean, that was like that was big boy who played for New England in Alabama's defense. The captain of New England's defense. No, that played for Alabama, the big dude, 35, Dante Hightower, and those guys. I mean, that was maybe one of Saban's best defenses.
It was early in the second half.
Yeah,
across the middle, and he just kept running and running and running to the
and Booger McFarland's running down. He's running down the sideline with him.
Your defense, you've lost 2 games. So that just kind of, any kind of comparison goes back to the team. And LSU didn't lose any games, obviously, in 19 and really didn't come that close to losing any games. I mean, Auburn fought them, but LSU dominated the game statistically. Ole Miss put up a lot of yards and numbers. That game was never in doubt. LSU beat them by 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, Clemson had you down early 17-7, and I was like, oh, no. But came out and boat raced them. So I think it's fine to discuss that kind of stuff. I mean, Jaden has made a Joe Burrow 18-19 jump in terms of his improvement. Now, is he going to throw for 60 touchdowns? No. But is he going to throw for 40?
He might account for 60.
running and his rushing yardage is going to be. Joe could run, but Joe didn't put up rushing numbers.
He didn't run it 15 times a game.
Jayden Daniels is a real threat. He's the fastest quarterback LSU's ever had.
Yeah.
He's the biggest run threat since Herb Tyler, I would say.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of guys
somebody
who could run.
You would game plan for his running.
Jefferson.
You know what I mean? I guess Jefferson. I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
but there wasn't the dynamic that he could throw too. Like you just thought, if we take away the run, then he's going to be neutralized. Herb Tyler could beat you with, he was a solid dual threat quarterback. Jayden Daniels, best dual threat quarterback in college football, best dual threat quarterback LSU's ever had. I mean, legitimately, in my opinion, the fact that he's not 1-2 in the Heisman discussion just means and shows how lazy the national writers are, and it will take that Alabama moment, I think, to really kind of push him over the top. If he's going to win it, he's going to win it on November 5th.
Well, Burrow won it on.
Yeah, he won it
with this, right?
That's
when he broke that long run late in the game, and that's when
the
he won
Heisman moment.
Heisman moment. So I do think Jaden, like at the Missouri game, for example, they got him contained. They're rushing him. He breaks out of the pocket and he just fires the thing to Malik down the field. I chatted with Tommy Hodson last week. I thought Tommy made a great comparison. He said that he reminded him of Randall Cunningham, but a much better passer. And I thought that I was thinking back, I mean, that's late 80s, early 90s, but Randall kind of had that lanky, tall ability
to the pocket. Like, wow, how'd he do that?
Ability to run.
Yeah.
And then like late in his career with the Vikings, he was a amazing passer.
Right.
So I thought that was a decent comparison. But he's been electric to watch. He's a great kid, and he's got very loving and passionate parents who watch him, and so it's been a lot of fun to see his progression.
Do you see the improvement in the defense? Do you see them kind of growing week after week? I know that they're probably never going to be a great they're probably not going to flirt with being a good defense, but they can be opportunistic, and it looks like over the last 2 weeks they've kind of they've grown on some things.
Yeah, you just kind of wonder how bad Auburn is, because that's the kind of thing where it's like, well, okay, you got to take your opponent into consideration too, but I think they got 3 and outs on their first 2 possessions. That's not something we've seen from them. And, maybe as bad as it was at Ole Miss, you think, well, this might be the best offensive team they'll play all year. I think from this point forward, Florida's not explosive. You'll beat Georgia State. Texas A&M's not explosive. I mean, I think your defense, if it continues to improve, is good enough to win the rest of your games. Jalen Milroy scares me as a scrambler and a guy that can run. But, they scored 24 points against Arkansas. They're kind of scrapping by.
Yeah.
So LSU beat them by 3 points too, Arkansas. So, there's no reason LSU can't go over there and win.
Give me one thought. Last one. I'll get you out of here. Give me one thought on LSU women being number 1 team in the country here, preseason, both AP and in the league. It looks like they got the best players in the country. They got arguably the best coach in the country. You've been covering this program for a long time.
Are you kidding me, Jordy? We lost Alexis Morris, Jasmine Carson, LaDasia Williams. Who would put us number 1? Trying to think how she's going to sandbag this thing.
Yeah. Have you been to a practice yet?
I went to go watch them. They did that open thing. I went to. I really. Here's another case. The transition. I really want to be in Birmingham tomorrow for SEC media, but I can't be there because of different things going on. And by the way, Kim Mulkey sent me a text and said, "You deserve this, and you bust your ass." And I appreciate that coming from her. That's awesome. That makes me feel good. But it's going to be, when I'm getting text messages about the first games coming up and all that, and people are into women's basketball and they've sold out the season tickets and the schedule's out and South Carolina's coming, and it's really going to be something we've never seen before in terms of, from finish line to end, whenever end is, in terms of the fan interest. And I mean, are people going to start doing post-game shows at local bars and stuff? I mean, the interest is there. And like I joked with you last week, if they lose a game on the road, will the opposing fans rush the court, print T-shirts and buy billboards? And
for as much as they will be loved around here, and I think that they'll be one of the all-time favorites when it's all said and done, I think they will be hated outside the state lines just as much.
It's Miami Heat-ish, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a traveling circus. I think Mulkey said in her addressing that last year they had 1 security guard the entire season, and really that security guard's responsibility was really her. More than
Mulkey.
anything. Well, yeah, it was Mulkey more than anybody. Now they've got 4 that travel with them everywhere. One assigned to Angel, one assigned to Van Lith, one assigned to the team, one assigned to Mulkey. You know what I mean? Like, that's just to make sure when you're traveling with this type of personality, with this type of group, that it's going to bring, I mean, a lot like what Livy Dunn did on the road to gymnastics.
Yeah, she's back too this year.
Yeah.
I'd heard some things, she won't come back. Well, she's back. And so that'll be, we're in a new era now where in the past some people yawned at women's sports and who cares. And now it's, what they're doing on the floor, what they're doing off the floor, they become, nationally known superstars.
Congratulations, bro.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Great work on the doc. I talked to Darren yesterday. I knew it was going to be great, and it was better than I expected. So, great work.
Darren did an amazing job with it, and thanks to everyone who participated in it, and thanks for all of you who were watching it. I think it had over 20,000 views this morning.
Quick. I mean, like, as soon as you published it, it had 11. I mean, like, I saw it that night. There was 11,000. I mean, you're probably looking at about 100,000.
It's not a Joe Rogan podcast, Lloyd, but it's doing all right.
I'd imagine by next football season, you're probably looking at 150,000 views on something like this. I mean, This is probably something that'll go. I mean, it'll hit market. It hadn't gotten to Miami yet. It's going to hit places that people are going to really chew on this.
Booger, Ryan Clark, y'all can share that thing. Get it out there.
What Boog say? I thought Boog's description of him was as good as I've ever heard. The size and the speed. It was the balance.
Yeah, and Booger's not in the documentary, and I apologize for that. We shot it on a Zoom, and Darren looked at it and he was like,
"This doesn't fit.
This looks like crap." And I'm like, "Well, he's like, it doesn't fit." Now we'll I think we're building a website. We'll put some extras up, and we'll definitely use it. Yeah. But the Holy Trinity, right? Speed, power, balance.
Balance was the part that he.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like a pinball in some of those runs where you can't get him down.
We showed the first, I know we're trying to get out of here. We showed the first 25 minutes to Kevin Falk in Orlando. We went to his hotel. We showed it to him just because we wanted to get are we on the right path here? Are we doing the right thing? And he said yes. But there was one play when he was at McNeese where he just kind of loses his balance and leans forward. And Kevin, like, you can't teach that. Mm-hmm. You can't teach that. That's God-given ability.
Yeah.
So.
Jacques Doucet, he is the sports director at WAFB 9. Sounds great to say. Long time coming. At Jacques Doucet is where you can find him on social media. We'll see you next Wednesday. See him in Tiger Stadium on Saturday. See him on the desk all the time now, as he is our guy. We'll be back after this. More of the Jordy Culotta Show, built by R&B. If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof.
Call Go Roof instead.
We offer a free, no-obligation inspection.
A beautiful roof every shingle time.
Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof. Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Daniel Newman can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. Get started today by calling Daniel Newman at 225-261-8262, 225-261-8262. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah. Sticking the roofing.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, Go Roof. Roof, roof, Go Roof.
As primary care sports physicians, the things we think about the most with our athletes from a medical standpoint usually involves the head, the climate, and the heart. We have to be very careful about participating in sports when it is safe, but also having the proper equipment to take care of them if we are worried about the athletes. So here in Louisiana, obviously heat can be a big problem. Things that I think about as a primary care sports medicine physician is that it's safe enough for our athletes to participate. And there are certain regulations that we follow here at Ochsner, but throughout the entire state, to make sure it is safe for our athletes to participate. When we think about concussion, We have to really recognize those symptoms from the forefront, and that becomes a cultural issue as well. As for the heart, screening exams are by far the most important thing that we can think about. We go through a series of questions, but also listen to the athlete's heart and ask about family history and other symptoms they may have had in the past. By doing so, we can identify and potentially screen out athletes to make sure that they are safe to participate in the sports that they love to do.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show live here on this Wednesday as we're coming down the stretch here. Appreciate you being involved with us. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button. Remember, if you're watching and you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe if you don't mind. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already done so, as we will be out of here in about 20 minutes. Jacques was great, fantastic storyteller, looking back on the Cecil Collins documentary, the transition here between him and Steve Schneider.
Well deserved.
Schneider moving on into retirement. Jacques stepping into that executive sports director role over at WAFB. Yes, very much well deserved, and congratulations again to the team over there at AFB for what's going on with Jacques. Looking forward to some of our recruiting discussion coming up this week. Shay is going to be here. We're tracking down Big Glenn West is going to stop by at some point.
Not hard to find.
But it looks as if this Gabe Relaford story is starting to pick up pace. We saw one of 3 Texas A&M committed players who were in town this past weekend. Jamarian Miller just decommitted from the Aggies. Joe Stone decommitted from LSU yesterday, a wide receiver.
I think that was a little
We'll
movement.
take that back.
Yeah, I think that was a little movement because of the Draylon Miller decommitment.
I agree. I think the Draylon Miller thing is really kind of trending, obviously, in the right direction for LSU. And then hopefully this Gabe Relaford story of Relaford back in town this past weekend, was on campus, LSU versus Auburn. The pictures are out. Looks like he's had a blast. We'll see. I mean, I've heard two lines of thought here in this Relaford story in a lot of the build-up here. And, one side is that Relaford has always been enamored by LSU, called it his dream school going into recruitment when he was in 10th grade. LSU was late to move on Relaford. They finally just offered him over the last couple of months. Since then, Relaford really kind of popped onto the scene last year as a junior. He was waiting for that LSU offer. It never came. Texas A&M was doing a great job of really recruiting him. If you remember Mason Smith, who is out of the recruiting department, not the defensive lineman, but Mason Smith, who spent some time in Baton Rouge, has done a tremendous job with the Aggies of really identifying some of these Louisiana kids that he knows what they're looking for. He can go after them and, really do a cleanup type job. And, that's how A&M was able to really corner Relaford, was the early communication, the early offer, and then all the love, right? Well, here late in the process and over the last couple of weeks, LSU has picked up the pace. LSU has really started to put the steam out that they want Relaford, man. They're going after him. I think with the reshuffling of the state rankings, Relaford is the top-rated defensive tackle in Louisiana. Dominic McKinley has held that spot for a long time, and he's committed to A&M as well out of Acadiana, and has had a pretty good and solid senior season. But I think that Relaford really has been the story at that position and deserves to have his name higher up on the list. And I think that'll happen once the reshuffle takes place. But whatever happens with the rankings, one thing is for certain: LSU is hot on Gabe Relaford.
And you've heard Shay talk about this before, wherever it goes into like almost senior year tape, and it does feel like LSU was late to the party, and some people can take that personally, where it's, oh, you want me now? I've been trying, it's a two-way street kind of a little bit, where Gabriel Relaford wanted to come to LSU. You don't get the offer, you could feel jaded. But Shea said that a lot of what LSU does is they wait for the senior tape to come out. They'll start watching, evaluating you your senior year, and so it seems like Relaford's popping at the right time. LSU's back in the mix a little bit, and it's funny what can happen on LSU game day whenever you're on campus. You start to see the atmosphere, and you can fall back in love.
No doubt.
It's not it's not against the rules to come back to LSU and be like, look, I've always wanted to be here. You don't have to be jaded the entire time. You can, once you feel the love again, just do it. Just commit.
14 hours ago, Draylon Miller tweeted out, "First, I want to thank my family and friends for being my support, especially my mom. She's my heart. My dad has pushed me my entire life. I love where I am, and hopefully everyone respects who I am and what I am doing, but I just feel like it's in my best interest to reopen my recruitment. I love Texas A&M. I need to process what my next move is. This is a life decision. This is a family decision, not just my decision. Please respect the decision, and I ask that no one reach out as my family and I are spending time with each other to make sure we are making the right move or making the right direction for my future."
How do you think Frank Wilson would take that?
Terry Bussey quote tweeted that, another one of LSU's on-site targets this weekend who is committed to Bama. That was in Baton Rouge. Love you, man. So we will see what happens here with this Draylon Miller decommitment. Miller is a 5-star wide receiver out of Silsbee, Texas, and is one that has been high on LSU's list for a long time. So we'll see if LSU can close here, as they obviously made some headway with Miller being in town last weekend. Miller and Relaford would be fantastic. I mean, I don't want to get greedy and take, say that you got to take all these commitments from A&M. Sure, you'd love them. I mean, Bussey's a great athlete. Draylon Miller.
What position does Bussey play? Like, what position is he going to play?
I would say he would probably play DB at LSU, huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
he plays everything right now.
Yeah, he plays everything.
He's the number one athlete in America.
He's just an athlete, but I mean, I would say that LSU needs him the most on the defensive side, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and I guess that's probably
give me this year's version of Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's.
I don't know if he plays safety though.
No, I'm just talking about an athlete that you can plug and play as a year one guy, and you don't have to worry about. I mean, I'm not saying that's who Bussey is, but I mean, number one athlete in the country. I think the expectation is you got to come in ready to play, man.
And I guess
especially for LSU.
Yeah, it's probably kind of up to him too if he wants to be on the offensive side or defensive side of the ball. That probably goes into what he what school he picks, if he would rather play offense or defense.
So we'll see. Hunter Fournette says, but Hankton has taken over his recruitment instead of Cooks. I think that's just when it comes down to recruiting. I think when you're talking about just the art of recruiting is what happens there. And look, I am in the camp of just get them on campus. I'm not the guy that promises you're going to be a wide receiver when you show up. You're going to be a DB when you show up. Hey, look, man, for the recruiting standpoint, whatever you want to play, you're going to play at LSU. But once he gets out on the field, if you need him at DB, I mean, Terry, come see real quick, man. How much you want to play? I want to play a lot. How soon do you want to play? I wish I could play in my first game. You can. You just can't do it at wide receiver. But if you can get out of this back pedal and flip your hips and find the ball, you might be an All-American. And here, you got nothing but playing time. So, I think LSU sales pitch is LSU needs DBs. I'll be honest. I watched a little bit of midseason highlights and not even highlights, a little bit of film from Kai Bates. But you don't want to tackle. I mean, if I'm LSU DB coach right now, I'm looking, I need some punishers. I need some guys that are come up and going to hit. Look, man, Bates looks the part. Don't get me wrong. He's a guy that, sure, getting off the bus looks great. little bit of film on Bates, mid-season mark. It kind of looks like LSU's DB, it kind of looks like their defensive backfield. Like, I mean, missed tackles. Don't know if he wants to tackle. I don't know. I was surprised by that when I watched that. I really was. Because I was kind of like looking at DBs thinking like they got to have some guys that got to come in and play. Who's the best one on the board? And I keep hearing about Bates. Okay, well, let's see. I mean,
he's a comfort guy, Coach. The way that
they don't play press here.
LSU, no, he's played. I just watched his first highlight. He's in zone, but I'm saying that like his instincts when the ball is in the air is something that LSU doesn't have right now either. And so he's doing one of the two things that you'd like to see, which is playing the position at a level where you could see him go in and play as a freshman because he has those innate qualities of, you talk about getting your head around, he can do that in spades. So whether he can tackle or not, LSU's not really in a position to, beggars can't be choosers. If you got a guy that can run in and play and cover immediately, you take him. And so, you'll get exposed very quickly if you don't want to tackle.
No.
Because you're going to have to at some point. And maybe this could be a case of senior year, I'm not trying to get hurt. Because I could play next year at LSU as a freshman.
We'll see. Appreciate everybody's involvement here on this Wednesday. Good show. We appreciate you being out there. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button if you don't mind. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Good stuff from Jacques here this morning. If you miss it, go back and check it out. Remember, all of our podcast is on all of the platforms that you may podcast on, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify. You can find it there. Hit us up on social media at Culotta Show. Putting out our video from this weekend over at Auburn. Should be up and uploaded here before lunch this morning, so check that out. We appreciate you being interactive with us. Have a good Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Compliments of R&B.
Hey, Chino, put my headphones up, bro. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah, Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got it.